What's up, everybody? Welcome to System Crafters. I'm David Wilson, and today we're back with another weekly Friday live stream where we get together as a community and chat about cool Lispy things. And this week in particular, we'll be talking about GNU Emacs and also trying to figure out if there's any alternatives to use package that might be worth trying out. So yeah, we're gonna get started in just a moment. We'll just let some people filter in here. Say hello to Crazy Chicken and Aaron Swenson, who have shown up so far. Crazy Chicken, I think you're probably like a minute early or something. Probably, I don't know, right on time. At any rate, we have some folks here and some more joining as we speak. So we'll just wait one more second to see who else will be able to show up today. Hey, Ashraz, Mark, John, nice to see you all. All right. Trying to think if there's anything interesting to bring up as people come in. Yeah, I'm starting to look a little bit more into Common Lisp. I'm kind of curious about sort of the state of the ecosystem there, and I've been seeing random things here and there over the last week on Twitter and other websites that sort of give me the impression that Common Lisp is pretty, you know, alive and well, thriving pretty well. So I'm kind of curious to look into it a little bit more in the near future. So I think next year is going to be pretty interesting for the channel because we're going to start trying to expand out and talk about various Lisps like, you know, Scheme and Common Lisp. Probably we'll talk about Guile Scheme first because it has a lot of utility in the GNU ecosystem, but we definitely will cover Lisps of various types because I think that, you know, Lisp languages are very interesting and this is sort of a Lisp-focused channel, so it makes sense to talk about various languages there. And maybe teach a few things about those. Also, say hello to Tekakutli, if I'm pronouncing your name right. Brad, Jeffrey, Alejandro, Boyan, Eric, Von Kike, Arya. Nice to see you all. Let's see. Crazy Chicken says, I'm only just getting jiggy with Emacs. That's definitely some 90s lingo there. I don't know if anybody knows that one. So I'm just using use package. Let's see, and also asks, are you going to do the programming for beginners then using Common Lisp? Well, maybe. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the question that I think Crazy Chicken is referring to the poll that I did on YouTube maybe last week, where I sort of asked if people are, you know, what sort of level of skill, I guess you could say, or how comfortable you are with programming. And I think that, I don't know if, we'll see if I do like a fully beginner's programming tutorial using Lisp. I mean, Lisp is a good language for that for sure, because it, you know, removes some problems that you normally have with other languages like, you know, compiled languages like C, etc. You already have automatic memory management with Lisps and things like that. So it's a good language for that, but we'll see. Philip K says, hi, PCal from Reddit here. Hey, we're going to be talking about setup.el today. That's probably why you're here, I would suppose. So glad to see you here. Thank you for joining. Philip K is the author of setup.el. Hey, Tomas and Benoit. All right, so before we jump into the topic today, first of all, I'd like to say if you enjoy this stream or if you typically enjoy being here for the Friday live streams, please leave a like on the stream, you know, now if you can, because it actually helps to promote this stream to other people. So like basically they'll see that the stream is live and maybe they'll come join, which would be kind of cool. And also, if you want to support the work that I do on this channel, making videos about GNU Emacs, GNU Geeks, Lisp in general, definitely check out the links in the chat and also in the description below. You can go to the System Crafter store to pick up things like t-shirts, hoodies, coffee cups, etc. And also, there's a link to support the channel as well, where there's some more options like, you know, GitHub sponsors, Patreon, etc. So if you are interested in supporting the channel, that would be very helpful, and I would appreciate it very much. Let's see. Philip K says, actually, I just popped by randomly. Well, you came at exactly the right time because we are talking about setup.el, so that's pretty funny. Let's see. Eric says, what is the difference between the two Lisp and which one should I learn? Well, that's a question that would take another video or stream to talk about. So basically there are... Scheme and Lisp have the same basic syntax, but the semantics of the two languages are different in both in useful ways. So we'll have to talk about that another time, but it is, both of them are nice. Let's see. Case says that he uses setup.el, and yeah, Case is the person who actually told me about setup.el, or at least Case reminded me about it recently in the System Crafters IRC. So that was useful. Let's see. Hi, Daigo. Nice to see you. And Piotr, and Marcel, and Glenn. Let's see. A better name would be SysGNU Crafters. Well, I don't know. I mean, we're going to talk about other things aside from GNU stuff as well, I think. It's just like, I kind of got stuck on the Emacs topic for a while because there's a lot to say. So I'm going to start expanding out into other areas too, because this is called System Crafters after all, not Emacs Crafters. Let's see. Marcel says, would you consider using Clojure? Well, I love Clojure as a language. I think it's a great language, but I would rather cover Scheme and Common Lisp first, and then later I might cover Clojure if people are interested in seeing more videos about languages, basically. I don't want to overdo it with languages here because I don't want to run away the people who are interested in like actually doing system configurations and whatnot. So I'm trying to figure out the right balance between talking about language stuff and about, you know, system crafting. So any feedback people have to either end, you know, at any point in time, if I'm making too many videos on one side and you think maybe I should cover another area, I'm very happy to hear that feedback because, you know, I'm just basically focused on making whatever content I'm making that week. So having some higher level, you know, big picture comments or feedback would be helpful at any time. Glenn says, Lisp, it's alive. I'm thinking Frankenstein. Well, I guess. I mean, you could think of it that way. Kay says GNU plus crafters. Yeah, I've taken to calling it GNU plus crafters. Apparently, I can't speak today. Maybe it's not enough caffeine or too much caffeine. I can't tell. Tomas says Babashka is a possibility. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of a good middle ground between talking about Clojure and also talking about system stuff, because Babashka is kind of like a shell scripting language with Clojure. Brad says, because Emacs is very cool and basically only can't make your dinner. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure somebody's tried. Crazy Chicken says Clojure is a great language, one of the better REPLs in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're all pretty good. I'm not sure exactly. I mean, the only thing that's really cool about Clojure script is that you can evaluate expressions and have things change in the UI. Of course, you can do that also with, you know, Lisp-based UI frameworks for desktop apps, but to do it in the browser is pretty cool. Flywheel and all that. Let's see. Hey, Wind Up Boy. I'm surprised you were able to make it considering your internet troubles. Tomas says Babashka is probably more suitable in a system crafting context. Yeah, definitely. I would also like to talk about using Guile Scheme and possibly Common Lisp in the context of scripting. Bash is obsolete says channel recommended by Prot sub. Thank you. Well, I'm happy to hear that Prot has recommended the channel. I also recommend Protesilaus Stavru, his channel as well, because, you know, he makes a lot of great videos on Emacs and higher level philosophical topics relating to computers, which is great. Let's see. Van Kike says, I'm new to the stream. What is the expected duration? We go for 2 hours typically. All right, so one item of news to mention. I don't really know of any other items this week, so the only item I can think of right now is that we are nearing the end of the call for proposals timeframe for Emacs Conf 2021. It ends on next Thursday, September 30th, so the video is stuttering. Hopefully it's just Twitch. So if you want to do a proposal to Emacs Conf, definitely consider going to this link below. I'll have it in the show notes below. You can just go to emacsconf.org and you'll be able to find out how you can submit a proposal. Keep in mind that it doesn't have to be a 40, 50-minute talk. It could just be a 5-minute talk or even a 20-minute talk if you want to do something shorter. If you want to just show off a cool package, or maybe just like some Emacs Lisp that you wrote in your configuration, or maybe you want to talk about a bigger topic, you know, something that's interesting to you and maybe to other people, definitely consider submitting a proposal by September 30th. I think the actual conference happens on the weekend of, let's see, calendar. It's November. Great. I love how it just showed up like this. Really helpful. November 27th and 28th, I think. It's like right after US Thanksgiving. I think 27th and 28th is the weekend where the conference is. So if you're interested in talking at that conference, I've already submitted a proposal, so I'm definitely going to speak there. I know a few other people in the System Crackers community have also submitted proposals, so hopefully we will see more of you there as we all join and, you know, celebrate the amazing piece of ancient software that is Emacs. Let's see. Piotr says, Clojure is cool with its functional, almost purity, and immutable types, but the JVM is such a burden. Yeah, that's the reason why I always come back to Clojure, because the language itself is beautiful, and I love the fact that it is focused on immutable data structures by default. But yeah, for some reason, just the JVM just sort of rubs me the wrong way. I don't know why. Maybe it's just superstition in a sense. I mean, the JVM is sort of rock solid in the sense that it's been used in the enterprise since, you know, the 90s. But for some reason, it just feels too heavyweight. I would rather have a Lisp that compiles to native code, even if it does have to carry along a runtime. Aaron says, I've got an Emacs macro that makes a butterfly flap its wings just to divert a cosmic ray to flip a bit on my hard drive. So yeah, Emacs is pretty good. I see someone reads XKCD. Hi, Anders. It's okay if you're here for only a short time. It's always nice to see you. Python is so 1996. Well, Emacs is so 1979. So what are you going to say about that? Let's see. Hey, Eric. Brad says, what are you doing at EmacsConf? Well, I don't know. I haven't been approved yet. That's the thing. If you submit a proposal to EmacsConf, you may not hear back until after the call for proposals is finished. So if you haven't heard back yet and you've submitted a proposal, don't get discouraged yet, because probably they're just going to get back to you a little bit later. My proposal, if I remember correctly, I think the title is Meta X Forever, Why Emacs Will Outlast Text Editor Trends. I think that's the name of the proposal. I think it would be a, you know, good talk. I still have to write it. I haven't actually written it yet. Under says MX Butterfly. Yeah, there actually is an MX Butterfly command. JVM is fine. Oracle is problematic. Oracle is definitely problematic. Crazy Chicken says, speaking of Python, anyone do anything in Hi? It's basically Python. It's cool. I haven't used Hi, but I've heard people talking about it. I mean, the idea is good. You basically have a language that, I don't know if it transpiles to Python or if it actually just gets evaluated as Python behind the scenes, but yeah. Let's see. Wind Up Boy says, the difference between Python and Lisp is the difference between fashion and style. Style is timeless. I agree with that 100%. Fashion is something that that stays around for only a little while, but style is like timeless, basically, as Wind Up Boy says. All right, so today we're going to be investigating two alternatives to use package. Now, I have not actually used either of these. I've read the README pages for both of them, you know, at various times in the past, but I have not tried them before. So today we're going to try them all together, and the goal is to take a look at why they might be better than use package for various cases and why you might want to use them. But we're not really going to try to replace use package with it. We're just doing this as sort of an experiment and an exercise to take a look at some other packages and see how it goes. Let's see. Benoit says, so bracket was fashion. I don't know. Arya says, I switched to the EAF browser. I'll have to try that out sometime. And also, I think I saw maybe Alejandro say something about Qt browser. Yeah, other things different from GNU Qt browser. Yeah, I need to get back to that. I've been meaning to talk about Qt browser for a while. I also need to talk about Nixt too. Let's see. All right, so what else did I say here? The goal isn't to try to replace use package, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. So the way that I want to try to compare these with use package is to I'm going to come up with a configuration. I've already started working on a configuration, very simple configuration with use package that exercises some of its functionality. And we can see this list here basically of things that I'm kind of looking for. And then come up with equivalent configurations in setup.el and leaf.el to compare how they look, whether you can get the same functionality from them, which is probably true, but we just kind of want to see how different they look and maybe what the benefits of each of them are compared to use package, just as a way to you know, do a little bit of investigation and experimentation. So I'm going to try to hit all of these things as much as possible. So basically like the ensure keyword that installs a package if it's not there already, after keyword, which causes a package to be loaded after another package gets loaded, the init keyword, which is for running code before the particular package loads, config keyword for loading code after the package loads, custom for setting custom variables with a concise syntax, defer for deferring the loading of a package until some point in the future, usually some timed delay, or until one of the binds or hooks or commands or modes are triggered, which basically causes the package to be loaded. So things like key bindings or hooks or auto load commands, or even types of files, so files with a particular extension. And also demand, ensuring that a package gets loaded at startup whenever it would normally be deferred based on something like the bind, hook, commands, or mode keywords. So I'm not saying that these packages should have these same things. I'm just sort of trying to see what the equivalent functionality would be in both in case you use these things and you want to try out one of these other packages for this purpose. Scott says Python is for people too scared to use Lisp. I don't know about that. I mean, I think Python has utility all its own, and Lisp looks a little bit alien. So Scott says, David, you should interview Lex Friedman. I don't think Lex Friedman is going to be interested in coming on a live stream or channel that has the lack of viewership compared to his own. So yeah, that would be cool, I guess, but I don't think it's going to happen. So let's see. Eric says, I'm writing a blogging system in Java where you send an email in JSON and it parses it and puts it in the correct subfolder of my Gemini capsule. That's interesting. But I would say, you know, writing it in JSON, I would rather write it in something like YAML potentially, that it doesn't require you to have, like, you know, curly braces wrapping everything around. But that's just me. Python is for people who can see invisible characters. Well, I mean, you just use an editor for that. Vitaly says, I'm using Vibe browser, or Vibe. What was it called? Vibe? All right. So the example configuration, I started writing this morning, probably about an hour before the stream, and I didn't get a chance to finish it. So we'll try to finish it a little bit as we go, because we need to exercise particular parts of the functionality. I'm going to jump over to another Emacs config. And let's see, maybe what we'll try to do is create multiple files. So I will start with a use package config.el file. Whoa, okay, that's the wrong. I need to get my cursor inside there. There we go. So use package.config.el. And I'll copy this config. I thought I already did copy it, but apparently it did not. Why are we not pasting here? Is it because okay. I think I took evil mode out and I'm getting confused. There we go, finally. Let me try to... We're gonna have some trouble here because I'm used to evil key bindings and now I have to use Emacs key bindings. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Indent region. What? Yeah, indent region is the name of a command. Thank you. All right, so we have this file now. We'll start with this and see whether, well, first of all, whether it runs eval buffer. Let's make sure that the config actually does something first. Have to install some stuff. Bunch of evil stuff. All right, cool. I think we're good. So if I use, Control C N F. Processing, okay, so it's, okay, let me do something different. I need to change this because it's actually going to my own org room folder. Let's change that. We'll eval buffer again, and then Control C and F. Yes, that's the right one. Okay, cool. All right, so everything seems to be working with this config. We have bindings that are being set up. I'm gonna keep hitting J and K and everything. It's gonna be really nice. In fact, let me move this. I forgot. Let me move this over to the other screen so that I can see the chat, because I know people are gonna be yelling at me for doing dumb things. Control C, enter 1. There we go. All right, cool. Let's see. Honor says I should use web service that can be used over HTTP. Okay. I don't like YAML. I find it hard to read and parse in my head, just like Python. Well, I don't know. I find JSON harder to write, and I think if you're going to be writing blog posts, then you should go for what is easier to write than read, in my opinion. Scott says he just interviewed Travis Oliphant. I'm not a Python fan, but it's a good interview. Haven't heard of that person. Scott says, have you used evil mode or ever used native Emacs key bindings? Well, I'm using both, and you can see how well I'm using the native key bindings right now. Windup Boy says, in Common Lisp, inevitably you end up writing at least one library to support whatever you're supposed to actually be working on. Yes, that is definitely the case, but I like that part. Ashra says, Python has batteries included, a lot of batteries included in the standard library. Yeah, that's why Python is a lot faster to just write something. Like if you just need to get work done really fast, use Python or even JavaScript. But if you want to enjoy what you're doing more subjectively, in my opinion, use a Lisp of some sort. Scott says, I feel like I'm cheating on Emacs if I incorporate any Vim. It's not, you shouldn't look at it that way. It's just an editing style, I think. You can't really think of it like it's another program. Crazy Chicken says, I've heard that C-list developers can be territorial over their libraries. I don't know. I mean, any community can be territorial. But I don't really know what the territorial means in this case. Okay, so Travis created Anaconda and SciPy. He's used it using data science. Huge in data science. Okay, yeah, I've heard of those. Okay, so we've got a basic config here, but what I need to do now is take a look at the other two options. We will try to expand on this a little bit whenever we... Man, what is happening? I just keep hitting the wrong stuff. Hold on. Evil mode. Evil mode. It's going to drive me crazy. Evil mode. Here, look. Let me just put it in the config so that whenever it loads again, it will happen. Because otherwise, it's going to start to get stressful. Nope, not this one. Okay, let's go in here. Init. Evil mode 1. That should be good enough. Okay, so first one we want to look at is setup.el, and it's nice that we have Philip here in case I run into any issues. Why is this 1 now? All right, so go back to the notes. And all right, setup.el. So the code is hosted on Source Hut. If we go to this link here, if it wants to open up for me. And there's a README that you can check out that has some documentation, basically. There's also a page on the Emacs wiki with some more information if you want to see some patterns for how to use it. Basically, it says that the setup macro, this is basically a macro that simplifies repetitive configuration patterns by providing context-sensitive local macros in setup bodies, which we don't really know what that means yet, but maybe we'll see in practice what that means. So this is an auto-loaded macro. It can be used directly as long as you have the package installed. This is actually part of GNU ELPA, which is nice because it means you don't have to set up Melpa first. You can just pull it off of ELPA directly. So we could actually go right now into our Emacs config, use packet, use package install, and then type in setup. So there's setup, helpful configuration macro. So what we're going to do is open up another file, setup config.el, and then we can start trying to pull in some of this stuff. So firstly, I will jump back, maybe whoops, not that one. Reset. Come on now. All right, so I'm trying to get EXWM to cooperate here a little bit. So I'm going to split the buffer here. And then I'll pull back up the Qt browser page, and then I'll pull back up the Emacs config, and we'll try to look at these at the same time if we can. let's see if there's documentation listed. See, okay, so basically setup.el on the wiki, the Emacs wiki seems to be the official documentation page, which is fine. It's totally a good place to put that because other people can contribute pretty easily. So basics. The main of the setup macro is to provide context sensitive. Okay, we heard that already. Okay, so to configure FlyMake by binding a few commands to the local mode and hooking FlyMake mode into prog mode hook. So I'll split this. I'll pull up the use package config, and then here we're in the setup config. So what I'll start by doing is I'll try to use setup for evil. And then we have a little bit of different syntax for bind. We're not going to use that right now, but maybe setup is not a good one for that one. Let's try the org roam thing because we can actually map this directly. Setup org roam, and then bind. And for the syntax here, we had a few things. Hook into prog mode. We're going to have to go and look for a couple more examples of setup.el to know how to do this correctly. So it seems that we don't need the nested parentheses as much. So we can maybe go like this. And if I execute that, invalid read syntax in wrong context. I think I did not close that fully. Nope, I did close it. All right. So, oh, okay. We have the const dots here, which we don't need. All right. Setup macro requires lexical binding. That's good to know. Okay, so what we'll do is, yeah, remove the dots. Thanks, Philip. Also going to use file variable. Let's see, add file local variable prop line to set lexical binding to true. All right. And then let's Control C. Nope, didn't work. All right, so let me kill this buffer and reopen it so that we get the lexical binding turned on. And then Control X, Control E. And now it seems to have run correctly, so that's good. Also, hook into prog mode. I'm guessing that's just establishing a hook that whenever prog mode gets run, then we are going to turn on FlyMake. So we're not going to use that one just yet. Do I have another one that has a hook here? All right, so that's something I need to find maybe from my my own configuration. So Ashra says that's only a local binding though, right? That's a good question. Let me actually, yeah. So Ashra brings up a good point that this is apparently binding only to the local mode for FlyMake, the minor mode of FlyMake. So we need to look and see if there's a way to bind global keys as well. So let's grab something that has a hook in this config. Emojify. Well, I mean, we could use that, but maybe not. Finish completion. E shell Z. No, let's not do that. Okay. Rainbow mode sounds good. How about that? Let's go and put that back into the Emacs config. So I'll drop that here. In fact, I'll drop that in this config as well so that we have it here. Let me indent this properly. Whoops. I lost the selection. Indent region. There we go. All right, cool. So rainbow mode we have here, and now we're gonna go do the same thing for setup. Rainbow mode. I don't know what defer would be in this case, but I think actually that my config is wrong when it comes to that because we don't need a defer because we're already using a hook. So hook into says that, I mean, it only gives us the example of one mode. I'm guessing you could have a list as well. Philip K says you can always check what you're doing by macro expanding. Yeah, I'll do that in a moment too to see what the output looks like. We did a whole stream on looking at the output of use package using macro expand, and it was pretty helpful. It was very instructive, I think. Okay, so there's a global keyword here, which seems to also allow you to do global key binding. So let's change this to global. I think that should work. Yeah, that seems to have worked. And we'll have to reload Emacs and then run this again fresh to make sure that this config does exactly what we expect it to do. All right, so what I want to know, actually, let's just experiment. How about that? What I'm going to do is indent this region. I think I just use the key binding for that. I'm not used to this key binding for it. So I'm going to use, let's see, Emacs Lisp macro expand. So expand the form after the point. Emacs Lisp macro expand. No. Why isn't it doing it? Void function hook into. Hold on a second. Okay, so I see hook into and I see hook. What's the difference between those? Maybe is that a typo in the docs? Let's check this. Void function hook. But I'm calling it inside of setup, so that should allow me to do that, I think. It's a macro. Oh, did I do something wrong? Yes, I am missing a paren at the end. So I'm curious about that. What about, let me save it first. Emacs Lisp macro expand. Okay, need to do this. Add hook. Okay, so it's pretty much a literal translation. Add hook. So you would have to do it multiple times, possibly. I don't think add hook allows that, does it? Yeah, it only allows one function to be added at any given time. So maybe the idea is that you do multiple hooks. Let's see. I mean, I'm pretty sure that this is going to work just fine. Emacs Lisp mode. Let's run this, or macro expand. Okay, so that one does do multiple hooks. So it basically just allows you to shorten the amount of code that you would have to write ordinarily. That's interesting. So is it something where you could do like a do list on this? Mode. Oh, in this case, you don't pass a list with multiple arguments. Now that's great. All right, so in that case, if you could just do, let's edit this a little bit. I think that, let's get rid of that one. Okay, so now if I go and macro expand. Okay, cool. So basically the hook allows you to pass in multiple parameters. Can I re-indent this? Yeah, okay. And then drop this one down. Great, so that actually is pretty nice. I think it's nice to be able to have this syntax because the output code, as you can see, is very straightforward. It's not, this is about as pure as it gets. The only thing you could do better than this is use like a do list or something, but even that probably isn't necessarily better. I mean, it's sort of subjectively better. You're not going to see the output code anyway. Only the compiler will see it, so it doesn't matter that much. Let's see. So that's nice. Hook looks pretty good. What about also load dirred x? So I think also load is probably going to tell it to load another package. So how about, this is sort of like the inverse maybe. So there's no after, but there's an also load. So how about after? So eval after load fly make. And I think that inside the body of the setup maybe is something that just gets loaded after. See ya, Anders. Nice for you to show up. Appreciate it. Okay, so yeah, I think you can put just arbitrary forms. And you can also do logic, which is kind of nice. That's pretty cool, actually. So it seems that you can run an if statement, and then you could pass global or return a global from the if statement in case there's like some certain parameterization you want to do on key bindings that you're setting up, which I don't think is very easy to do in use package, if I'm not mistaken. You can't do conditionals inside of the bind statement. So if I were to say that there's one benefit I've seen so far of setup, it would be that. So let me drop that as a note. I want to kind of keep track of what the benefits have been so far. So let's go back to the setup here, and I'm going to add a benefits section. Can add conditional logic inside of the macro body to set bindings, hooks, etc. only if something is true. Something like that. I think that's pretty nice, actually. So, and actually, maybe I'll copy this little example. Oh, and there's also if package, which is just kind of an interesting thing there. Like if the package actually is installed. Otherwise, it configures an option and binds a command to a global key. So, also, I think you can do that with use package also. So I wouldn't say that that's a special feature necessarily, but it is a nice way to set it up. So I'll do a little elist block there and drop this code in. This is looking really bad because of the presentation mode. Let me just get out of that. Is this readable on the bottom pane, or should I bump the font size a little bit more? Let's kill my panel. Okay. Okay, so now, pull back up the browser. What else are we trying to do? Like a mode? What about mode? There's an option here. What does option mean? The check may be pulled into the global macro. Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. So basically, inside the global macro, you can decide which key binding you want to use. So you don't even have to parameterize it at this level. You can parameterize it inside of the global. But that makes sense because this is just an expression that's being evaluated inside of the expansion of the global macro. And you're passing that into KBD anyway. So in theory, you could also do that in use package, but I think the syntax might be a little bit more clumsy to do that because you would have to use backquoting. Yeah, I think you would probably have to use backquoting for that, if I'm not mistaken. Option is a fancy set queue thing. Well, let's see. What does that do? Option. I mean, so far, I'm liking setup.el quite a lot because it does address some of the issues that I have with use package. So, prepend dired guess a-list user. I don't know what that does yet. Dired dwim target t. So is option like setting custom vars, or is it just set queue? Oops. Option. Yeah, it's setting values, it seems. So we can test this out really easily. In case you missed it, if you want to know what a local macro does, just read Control-H-O setup. Let's see. So we're just pulling up the docs for setup.el. Probably it must have all the body forms in here. Okay, advise, nice. Okay, so you can put advice there as well. Thanks, Philip. I did not see that earlier. Also load feature with the current body, makes sense. File match, great. Okay, so that's one that I'm actually looking for. Thanks, Philip. This was actually really useful. I think it's better than looking at this help page. Okay, so what I wanted to do is on the scheme mode setup. This is sort of a contrived example, but we can do this. File match, and the config that I had that I'm going to look at is right here. So // sld / single quote. So let me check what that does. Yeah, Philip, probably the first thing you should say is like to go look at the documentation for the setup macro, because if it tells you all this stuff, then it will save a lot of time probably. No need to even have a website. I mean, aside from just to direct people to this. Bind key, okay, associate the current mode with files that match pat. So I'm guessing, which we'll find out in just a moment whenever I do the macro expansion, that this will set up the auto mode A list. Yeah, add to list, auto mode A list. We're consing SLD with scheme mode. So in theory, that would cause scheme mode to be loaded whenever an SLD file gets opened, which I'm doing this because scheme mode itself does not yet load scheme library definition files, which is what the SLD syntax is for, or the extensions for. So Case says the doc string is dynamically built. Well, that's pretty cool. All right, so associate the current mode with files that match pat. Okay, global bind key to command. Okay, so there's also hide mode. So, oh, scheme mode should be quoted, huh? Interesting. Yeah, that's true. It should be quoted, but I guess it's good to see it live, and maybe now we know what to expect. So that might fail whenever we try to run it, but that's okay. We'll fix it. Hide mode, hide the mode line lighter. So if you use something like diminish, that's one I forgot from use package because it's got binding set up for diminish. But this is if you don't want a particular mode name to show up in the mode line. You could use the hide mode. Directive, I guess you could call it. It would look like this because there's no parameters. Hide modes. Hide mode, okay. Can I do that? Okay, so was it xref, go to, or definition, find definitions. Sweet. I didn't know that that would actually show up as a function or something. So here we want to do setup get. So what does setup get do? And where does mode come into play? Lambda pattern, add to list. Oh, mode is probably a variable inside the context of the macro. Setup get. Let's go to definition on that. Cooter. Okay, so setup opts. Yeah. I think it, okay, I'll get the thing here, and then what? Symbol? I think symbol is a function for that. No? I could do this potentially right there. Okay, I reevaled that. Let's actually go back to the setup and see if it works. Boom. Okay, that's fixed. Well, at least it'll work for us right now. Glenn asks, can I show keystrokes? You know, it's weird. It should be showing them down here, but I think it's not being updated because I'm not in the same buffer. I don't know why Keycast is not showing it for the current selected buffer. All right, so let's see. Next thing I wanted to do, so there's hook. Yeah, okay, so I should have been looking at this all along because the ... would tell me I could just put multiple mode names there. Add function to the current hook. If feature, that's great. If feature is not available, stop evaluating the body. So the interesting thing is, could I add this like somewhere in the middle? Like if I were to say, set up file match, I guess I'll find out right now. If feature native, is it native compilation? Feature p native compile. Okay, native compile. Oops. Yeah, okay, native compile. Message boo. All right, so let's go and expand this. Okay, so, okay, yeah, cool. Basically it does a local exit. It throws back to this G0 tag, so it will not evaluate anything further in that case. That's good. I wonder if you could use that multiple times and it just wraps the expression. How about that? If feature evil. Let's go here. Whoops. Catch G0, throw G0, throw G0. Okay, so basically it seems that it just uses the same name, which makes sense. That's cool. This is really nice. Let's get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Go back to that. Okay. So then what else do we have? If host. Oh, wow. Okay, I like that one because this basically lets you switch based on the name of the current machine. And if you use the same Emacs config on multiple machines, then that could be a huge benefit. Let's see, if host acid burn, which is the current host that I have, the current machine that I have. And I can go expand this. String equals system name, acid burn, I think, yeah. And that evaluates a true in this case, that's cool. I like that a lot. Now the question is, can you add multiple after this? Hold on. So it's gonna throw. Yeah, it's gonna throw back up to the top block, which is not really what I wanna do in this case because maybe I would wanna have another block after that that says if it's a different host. But let's see, what does that do? Does it add a new scope? I'm sorry if I'm like rat holing on small things here, but I'm curious about how this works. Yeah, it seems to both. throw back up to the catch. So you wouldn't be able to use multiple if hosts inside of the same block, it seems. Philip K says currently not, but a macro could be defined to implement a local quit. Okay, yeah. Makes sense. All right, cool. So anyway, that was an interesting feature. I like that too. Or you could just do a plain if. Yeah, you could definitely do a plain if. But they require you to write out the entire hostname check yourself. Alejandro says, I'm in love with setup.el, but we'll wait to see other options. Will we be seeing other options? Yeah, we're going to look at Leaf also. I got to make sure I leave enough time for that. All right, so let's go back to this. Delete that, delete that. Okay. I don't know why KeyCast is not showing in that buffer. All right, so if package, we saw that one before. Load from, okay, that's cool. You can add a path to the load path, which is useful in some cases. Local hook. Add a function to hook only in buffers of the current mode. Yeah, you say which... Only in buffers of the... I guess the buffers of the mode that is... Okay, it's probably using add hook with that third or fourth parameter set to true. But for the local mode, what's assumed to be the local mode of the package itself. I'm actually curious what that looks like. Local hook, let's say after save hook function and do something. It's not real. I just want to see what the output looks like. So scheme, okay, scheme mode hook. What about one that's not as obvious? Let's take this and put it here instead, because this doesn't have mode in the name. Does it extrapolate? Is that what happens? Yeah, it seems to extrapolate, which is fine. Okay. And by extrapolate, I mean it probably takes the name and generates the assumed mode name based on the name itself of the package. I don't know if there's a way to override that. Local set the name. Okay, so you can set buffer local variables, which is nice. And apparently, if name is a const cell, it will use the car value to modify the behavior. These forms are supported, so you can append to a list. That's nice. Prepend to a list. And remove a variable from a list. So maybe you could remove a hook, potentially, from a particular variable. I like that. It's a little bit more flexible. Also, there's a needs executable. I think if use package may have something like this, but I don't remember. But it will check to see if there's a program available in your system, and if it's not there, then it will just not load the configuration or anything after that thing. Philip says setup automatically guesses that if it doesn't end with dash mode, that it should add dash mode, but it can be overridden with mode. Excellent. That's great. I like that a lot. So yeah, this is seeming very, very flexible, but straight to the point too. I like it. All right, same options here: append, prepend, remove. Package. Install package if it hasn't been installed yet. This macro can be used as head, and it will replace itself with the first package. What does that mean? Where is head referenced elsewhere? The macro can be used as head. I have no idea what that means. Anyway, package. So let's do this. Can I just leave it empty? No. Maybe I need to do this. No. Okay, that makes sense. But it'd be nice if you did not have to actually say the package name again. It makes sense in some cases to say it again. Rebind keys, requiring features, unbinding keys. Let's see. Alejandro asked, does setup.el use get like straight.el? It seems to be using package.el by default. I don't know if it has a functionality for straight. However, I think that using the functions in setup, you should be able to define that. The Abby example shows you how to do that. Okay, so, okay. So that what you mean by head is basically having it in the first position. Okay, that's great. I like that. So what that means is instead of having evil here, you can have package evil, which it reads well. I like that. And then evil mode 1. How about that? And that should actually expand correctly. Let's do this. Yeah. So if the package is installed, continue, and then run evil mode after that. Otherwise, we're going to evil, if it's in package archive contents, then it's going to refresh contents. That's a nice little touch. I like that. So basically, if package archive contents doesn't actually, if you haven't pulled down the latest bits from the package archive, from ELPA, MELPA, etc., it will refresh those for you first. And you can tell that by looking at this package archive contents variable. And then it will install evil after that. And then it will run whatever code came after. So that's really nice. I mean, it's very clean, straight to the point. I wonder if another thing you can do is, let's try this instead. Evil, message, testing, init style code. So basically have some code before the package gets checked or installed, and then run this to print it out. Yeah, so basically you have a prog in, and the first thing that's in there is the message that we wrote, and then it tries to install the package if necessary. So you could even do this conditionally with anything else. So if you didn't even want to try to install the package first, you could have something like, you know, if feature native compile, and then expand. Why? I keep hitting keys that aren't set up here. So it checks if native compile is there. If it's not, then it goes back to the catch, and otherwise it will start trying to install things. So yeah, a lot more flexibility is what I'm seeing here, and it's still very terse in terms of the language you use to describe the configuration. So I'm liking it quite a lot. You know, I'm actually slightly motivated to try to use it in my own config, because I think that there's more flexibility in terms of what you can express here than with a use package. Use package is very nice because it's like a language into itself, but setup seems to be more geared towards being helper functionality that simplify the code and make it look declarative while still being actual code that can be evaluated the normal way, which is a benefit to someone like me who maybe wants to have a little bit more control over how the code works. And also, as you can see, the output code that gets generated is quite simple and not a whole lot of garbage in there, so I like that. I'm not saying that use package has a lot of garbage in it, but it does have surprising amount of code output whenever you look at the output from use package expression. So let's try a couple more things here. There was something about so I think it was what, bind. All right, so if I put bind here, I can put those other use package, yeah, so org mode map. So for bind, key command. So what about for is it bind into? No. Key command, bind key in command to the current map. What if you want to bind into another map? Is that just not possible? Map. Unbind key with map. Okay, so change the map that the body will bind to. If map is a list. Okay, so we could try this with map. And you could do multiple maps, which is kind of interesting. I kind of like that. So org mode map. And then you could drop in, whoops. You can drop in the binds from before. So let me just grab this line here. I'll put it inside of this. I'll clean it up a little bit. Take out the dot. Why is that a lowercase c? That doesn't make sense. I don't know why that's set up like that. Sometimes I hit key bindings wrong because I'm fighting with muscle memory and I just cause it to do stuff that is not right. Okay, is that? No. Cool. So now if I expand this, we'll see that. Why is there? Oh, okay. Eval after load org roam. Then it says lambda nil define key. It's just passing in the lambda directly to eval after load. Okay, so define key, org mode map, control C N I, org roam mode insert. Yep, that makes sense. Define key, org mode map. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, if you wanted to use a different mode, different map, and let's try this too. I'm kind of curious. It says maps. Can it be a list? If map is a list, apply a body to all elements of a map. I'm curious to see what that looks like. Evil mode map. We wouldn't actually do this in practice, but I'm just curious. Okay, so it does multiple eval after load registrations, and then just runs it for each one of the maps. Okay, that's fine. But it's nice you can do that in case you wanted to set up the same local bindings in multiple maps. You can do that with use package, I think. All right. So that tells us how to do the global keys and the local bindings in another mode. Let's see, org mode map. Let's make sure we get that set up right. What else do we have? Now that I've got a good enough sort of bearing on this now, I can try to fix the rest. So what about defer? Delay? Load? Also load. We do need that on the, let's see, setup org. After, no, sorry, what was it? Also load? Also load. I want to say org roam. So one thing I do see here is that this is not being set to load after. Well, actually, that makes sense to some degree because for global keys, you probably want them to be bound because the commands you're binding to more often than not would have auto loads hooked up. So you kind of want them to do the auto load so that anything else that gets executed after load, like org roam, etc., will trigger after the command causes the package to be auto loaded. And then here, setup org, prog in, also load. Oh, I did something wrong here. Forgot the wrapping. Yeah. So eval after load org lambda nil require org roam. Yeah, I like the fact that it generates only the minimal code necessary to accomplish the goal. All right, so that works. Thanks, Philip. Thanks a lot for being here. It was your assistance was very helpful, and I'm excited to use this package a little bit more after the stream. So I might come by the System Cutters IRC if you spend any time on Libre chat, and we would love to talk to you about it there, if my mouth will cooperate. Let's see. So we're good on evil, I think. We don't need that anymore. I want to make sure that I provide you with like an actual side-by-side by the end of this, so let me delete all the stuff that's not necessary after I was just playing around. Let's see, org roam. Init, okay, we know how to do that. So let's try this other thing that we saw. There's something for setting variables. What did Kay say it was? It was option? Yeah, okay, so how about option? Let's use some option here and see if it tries to set it after the loading or if it will set it before loading, because I'm trying to do that in init here, so it'd be nice to see what happens. So how about org roam v2 ac t? We also have a couple other variables. Let me just copy these here because I'm lazy. I don't want to type all this again. I mean, it's the good kind of lazy, right? All right, let's indent that, and I think that's enough. Let's expand it and see what the output looks like. What is, man, control U. I'm so dependent on that. Come on, come on. All right, so it's got a prog in custom load symbol. What does that function even do? Load all dependencies for symbol. So it's going to force load the package, it seems, which I'm not sure about. Because you don't need to load the symbol before you set the value for it. You can just set it. Or get that from custom. Oh. Okay. So it's getting the custom set function out of it. Or set default. Orgrom ac. Yeah. Okay, so it's doing a little clever way to either invoke the custom set function, if there is one for the variable, or it will call set default, which will set the default value at the global level. So I think that could actually cause you to end up loading the package early if you didn't want to. However, you might as well, in this case, just not use option and just use set queue because, I mean, what's the difference, honestly? Let's just do that instead. Indent a little more. Since you can just use set queue in that spot, there's really no reason not to just throw it right there. Okay, so I'm using set queue here. All good. Then it does the key bindings, and those will cause the auto load. So, the thing that is important to know about a macro like setup is that you kind of need to know a little bit more about how the init process works, how packages get loaded, what would cause a package to get loaded. But you would only need to know these things if you actually wanted to optimize your startup time. Use package makes that a little bit easier because it simplifies the pattern for loading a package whenever certain things happen, like running a command and using a key binding, etc. Setup sort of puts it a little bit more on you to know how things operate, which is fine because this seems to be geared more towards people who want to have more control over stuff and have a little bit more flexibility in how the init loads. So I think I'm fine with that. I think it makes sense. But if you want to have an optimized startup, you're going to have to know what all this stuff does, and you're probably going to have to use macro expand just to see what the output code is and reason about it a little bit. However, if you're trying to learn Emacs list better and you want to like really master your knowledge of Emacs, this I think is a good package to use to try to bone up on that. So not a bad thing in my opinion. F Society says, do you use evil mode? Yes, I'm using it right now. All right, so what else? Let me see how, we need to get on the leaf. So let me see if I can just get the rest of the config ported over. So on evil, I think we're good on that one. That one seems done. That one says after evil, sure. Yeah, what did I use for that? Yeah, the only thing I don't really like, maybe there's a way to deal with that. Let's see. I want to go back to the help for setup. Setup. Okay. After. When loaded. Great. After the current, no, what? Evaluate body after the current feature has been loaded. So when loaded seems to be the equivalent to config in use package, it seems. Avoid using this macro whenever possible and instead choose a more specialized alternative or write one yourself. That's interesting. Load. Let's see. Add path to load path. I'm just looking for, I don't like also load. I would rather have it be more like a pull kind of setup. Yeah. And when loaded, well, I mean, that doesn't work. Yeah, you could do this. I feel this is a little bit not ideal. So also load here, that's great. I mean, if you know that there's two packages that are sort of connected and you want to make sure that the other ones get loaded too, it makes sense. In fact, let's just check this one more time. I just want to look at the output. Okay, yeah, it just does require org roam. But if you want to load org only after evil mode gets loaded, you need to use something like with mode, evil mode, and then there's the other one, loaded, when loaded, and then let's see, what was it I was gonna do? Oh yeah, what does it require? Well, if you're going to do try to require feature, stop evaluating body. This is probably not the best way to do this. Maybe just doing a normal require. Let's do a normal require. Require org. All right, let's do this out. Let's expand this out. Eval after load org, lambda nil. Eval after load org, require org. Okay, so that doesn't actually do the right thing that I was expecting. I was expecting this with mode to apply only after. Change the mode that the body is configuring. If mode is a list, apply body to all elements. Yeah, this doesn't appear. Oh, wait, hold on. Doesn't appear to be working correctly. So that's another bug for pcal to look into, I think. Anyway, so it seems that the only way to make this work is to do also load here on evo mode, which introduces a coupling between the two packages that I'm not really crazy about. Yeah. Anyway, that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. That could probably be... Yeah, you could definitely wrap the whole thing in with eval after load, but at that point, you're writing it yourself, so it'd be nice if there was a little bit more syntactic sugar there to help. Okay, so those two are finished. Org roam. Ensure T. So we also need to do package here because this one needs to be installed. In the init, we have the set queue. That makes sense. In the custom section, so for the custom stuff, we can definitely do the option that we were looking at before. So let me just drop this back here. Hey, now. Come on. Should just use J. Okay, so let me drop a in paren around that. And then indent sexp. There we go. Now I just want to go and delete all these wrapping parentheses. I think we're good there. Okay, so now I can go and expand this. No, that one. Progin fun call. Yeah, it seems to be doing the right thing. I mean, this is a lot of output, but I can understand why, because we're trying to make sure that the custom variable set functions are getting called. But I think there's another way to do that. So maybe there's an optimization to be made in the code to make the output a little bit better. But I'm not sure. I mean, pcal may have a reason for doing it the way that he did. All right, so now binds, we got our binds set up right. And for config, I think, maybe what we do in the end here is, so it says don't use when loaded. But at this point, I mean, I still want it to be only executed after the mode gets loaded, so bind file match global high mode hook into, add a function into the current hook. Yeah, it doesn't work like that in this case. Add the current mode to, oh, okay, I like that. Alex says, I wish I wasn't an hour late to this discussion. You know. You may still gather something, I'm not sure. Let's see, if feature, if host, blah, 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 load from, local hook, local set. Only if. Only if the condition is not nil. Okay, well that's useful in some cases. Package, rebind, require, unbind, when loaded. Yeah, I mean, the only choice I have is when loaded, I think, for that whole thing. So how about if I look at this one? When loaded? No. Eval after. Okay, so far, this is the only way I see to do this is to use when loaded, and then the body that I want, which in this case is to call org roam db autosync mode. So if I go back and save this and then macro expand, that seems to be right. Okay, so we're talking about how to, inside your setup block, how to cause code to be executed after the package gets loaded, just in a more normal sense. And I'm trying to use when loaded, which does work. This does seem to work fine for that purpose. Keep hitting Control U. Maybe what I should do, here's what I should do. Leave that there. Yeah. Let me go grab my own config. Because I'm going to go crazy here. Evil mode. And I want CU scroll. Let's just drag some of these maybe. Don't care about that. Let's just grab maybe... Let's just grab that. I don't know which ones of these actually matter. But I do want that. Because otherwise I'm just going to go nuts. All right, so let's make this equivalent. What am I doing wrong here? Hello. Yeah, I don't know either because the output seems to be fine. Case says, I don't know why Philip says it shouldn't be used. I mean, it seems fine. I think that there's one particular scenario where it has to be used, which is, you know, if you just want a body to be executed after the package loads. I mean, you could definitely use with eval after load too, but I mean, maybe what he's saying is just use that anyway. Because what's the point? All right, so I'm gonna put this in the init block. Oh, God. All right, there. Are you happy now? Okay. So anything else? We got to move on to Leaf. Am I missing anything? We got the mode for scheme mode. Rainbow mode, I got that. Let me just drop this down here. Okay. So that's done. So just for the sake of making sure that all this is going to work, let's eval buffer. Doesn't seem to be complaining. So then what I'm going to do is close this Emacs session. And then I will jump to vterm. And then I'll run Emacs again. And these, it's not going to be loaded by default. I'm just going to load it directly. So I'll go into the setup config and then eval buffer. Symbols value as variable is void. I wonder if it overwrote. Why did it pull this up? Oh, okay. That's weird. I'm setting it, dude. Let me check this real quick. It's set to T. What's your problem, man? All right. So in this case, I think this is still expanding the wrong way. Emacs, macro expand. Yeah. Somehow setup.el got overwritten. Let me double check that. No. xref definition. I swear we're gonna go to Leaf. What is going on right now? Okay. What is it? Find library setup. Okay. So now we're gonna go. What was it called? File match. File match. And then we have it. What's going on? I think it needs to be recompiled. That's the problem. Package compile. No, I don't know. So now that all works. So there's a little bit of a bug here that doesn't work perfectly, but I think that will get fixed pretty soon now that Philip saw it. Okay, let's move on to Leaf. So go back to my emacs.org. No, the other org file. Cool. So Leaf is another alternative to use package. And I keep hitting enter to navigate. Hey, Case, I see you. Looks like your IRC finally worked. So, leaf.el. Let me see if there's anything. Okay, so there's a lot more documentation on this page, and probably what we're going to see is a lot of similarities to setup. I don't know if it was inspired by setup or if it was sort of like a separate effort, but A lot of documentation. Let's see what the description says. So, Leaf is yet another use package. Solves the stress that I feel when using the use package for 2.5 years. By developing from scratch, we have a cleaner and more predictable implementation. Makes it easy to maintain and add new keywords. So one thing that I didn't get to was that there's not a keyword for adding straight.el installation support to setup, but I think this is going to be more or less trivial, and I wonder if that's something that we could contribute to that project if Philip was interested. Let's see. So easy to maintain, add new keywords. So in the case of Leaf, you could also add a straight keyword if it's not already here. Currently, leaf.el and Leaf keywords have rich keywords. Okay, there's a lot of stuff here. Disabled, Leaf protect. A lot of keywords they have. You can install it from Melpa. So this one actually requires Melpa, with the benefit of setup being that you can install it from Elpa, which doesn't require you to set up the Melpa repository first. Put the following code to the top of your init.el. So there is a simplification here that you can just take and run in your code to install Leaf and make sure that it's set up. Oh, wow. So there's a lot more setup involved here, it seems. Setup was pretty easy. I mean, you just basically drop in, you install the package using Elpa, and then you start using the macro. So that's one benefit for setup that I can see. Let's see, eval and compile. Let's just copy this because this is basically what they're telling us to do. As far as the others, Leaf keywords init, Leaf Hydra. If you want to use Hydra, lget blackout. Okay, so you're basically installing the various packages. It has an ensure T, which is pretty similar to use package. Config, Leaf keywords init. Okay, so let's drop this into the config for Leaf. Let's start that up, in fact. So I'm going to jump into leaf config.el. And all these configs that I'm making right now, I'm going to include them in the show notes so that you can take a look at them and try them out if you want to. Yes, I'm expecting to see 3 new wiki pages by the end of the stream, Case. So get cracking. I know that you have some writing skills, so you should put them to use. I'm just kidding. So eval and compile, we're setting package archives. Well, I already did that in this config, but it doesn't hurt to do it again. Package initialize. It's not already installed. Leaf keywords. So Leaf keywords appears to be a separate package to get extra keywords pulled in. I wonder if this even works if you don't have the keyword package. So I'm going to eval this so that we have it. Did it just tell me to put org mode in there? Oh, it's just going to take forever, basically. Probably shouldn't include all those extra things, but I'm guessing that blackout is needed for hiding mode lines. Yeah, why are we putting org in this config? This is not needed in this example because you're just telling people to pull a repo that is not even valid anymore, I think. All right. So Hydra, lget, blackout. Lget, I'm guessing, is an alternative to package.el. So maybe that's uses some different stuff there. Now you can use Leaf. Leaf tree, who knows what that is? They're just telling you to throw a bunch of stuff in, and I don't really get any explanation. I mean, obviously they can't explain everything yet, but I don't know what leaf tree is for. Whoa, leaf tree. Yeah, no docs here. Leaf convert. No docs. Transient dwim. I mean, I guess that sort of makes sense. Configure built-in packages via Leaf. Doc. Tag built-in internal. Okay, so there's a concept of tags here, which I'm guessing means that you can enable and disable sets of packages based on which tags are set. Auto revert. Well, okay, I'm making assumptions here. Let's actually see if there's something in the documentation about what tags do. Documentation keywords. So Leaf can describe the document systematically. So I'm guessing that if you... does it generate documentation, or is it more just like a way for the init.el to be more well documented without having to do a literate config. Describe the document systematically. It should be possible to develop additional packages that use the values specified for the document keyword. Huh? Ah, okay. Basically, some other package could use that potentially. You could maybe generate a website based off of your init.el with Leaf, I think. I think that's what they're implying. Arguments specified for this keyword have no effect on the result of the conversion. Court def test with macro expand? No idea what that is. Yeah. What about? Hold on. Court def test? Yeah, I don't know what that is. Leaf doc. Any S expression. This must be a test case. Yeah. Okay. It's a test case. Miss keywords. There's a lot of keywords here. I think the thing that's interesting about setup is that it doesn't use keywords that have to be registered. It's actually getting around that by defining sub macros that get used in the context of the overall setup macro. So you're calling them as functions and not as just some kind of keyword syntax. So I think it makes it easier to translate things and also interject actual code inside. So I like the approach of setup.el based on what I've seen so far of Leaf. Basic keywords, none. Convert to nil when used without any keywords. Why? Okay, that's fine, I guess. Require keyword. If you want to require, you must use the require keyword explicitly. Okay, that makes sense. T to require the package, specify multiple symbols to require all of them. Since the priority is lower than that of the conditional branch keyword, it is possible to assign whether to require by or not by the conditional branch keyword. Init, leaf, pre-init. So it seems that Leaf is more directly inspired by use package. So let's just try to start writing something out and figure it out as we go, just like we did with setup, because we're gonna run out of time pretty soon, I think. So let's just try to do it really quickly. I will open up the use package config.el. Let's just drop this in and massage it a little bit to get what we want. Leaf. I believe there is an ensure. Whoops. Ensure. Package provides package.el front end. Because Leaf keywords has el get keyword, package provides package.el front end. Since ensure is to use package.el by default, ensure and package produce the same result. So it's an alias. Case says, what is with those emotes? Yeah, Twitch. I don't know why Twitch emotes are showing up like that, but it could just be Restream doing that. We know it's not you doing it on purpose. Okay, so how about I just switch this around a little bit? Let's go to Leaf config in this window and you, whoa, the hell did I do? And use package config here. Cool, at least control U and control D work now. Scott says, we're good on time. I have all day. Unfortunately, I don't, because I have to go to work. Otherwise, I would stay here as long as it took. And one day, maybe I'll be able to do that if I'm not actually having to, you know, chase a full-time job at the same time. So let's jump back. Ensure T. Yep, that's going to work fine. Init. I think there's an init keyword here. Keywords are provided to directly describe eList with various settings that Leaf does not support. If, when, and unless, init expands to the after the conditional branch key. Wow. Okay, so they got to tell you all the rules for when these things are going to happen. Yeah, I guess that's fine. So this, in theory, should work, which now it does seem to work. Okay, so the package is already installed. Let's use macro expand. So prog1. Huh, what's that do? I have not got a new chair yet. I actually do have an Aeron chair, but I'm not going to drag it all the way upstairs to use it here. I'm sitting on a not very comfortable folding chair at the moment, but that's okay, because I'm going to move soon, so it won't matter for long. Prog 1, eval first and body sequentially. Why are we evaling evil? It's not necessary. Return value from first. Oh, okay. So basically just return the symbol for the mode. The value of first is saved during the evaluation of remaining args whose values are discarded. Okay. Not sure why it's necessary, but maybe it's for some nesting or something that could be done. Let's see. Leaf handler, leaf path, evil. Is this a macro or is this a... Yeah, it's a macro. So why are we not getting the full expansion here? Hey, Foskers. Nice to see you. Huh. Do I need to use Emax macro expand? Do I need to use like a universal arg? Max expand the format, the point comments in the form will be lost. I don't care. So can I macro expand? No. I need to macro expand the entire thing because apparently it's not doing the internal expansions. Let's see, macro expand 1. Expand, let's learn to type. Macro expand all. Okay. Top level of form. Probably not picking up from the current buffer though. Yeah, it wants the form to be given. So we may have to wrap this. Let's just see if it works. Do this and then indent S expression. Okay. Now we will eval this. Yeah. It's not what I intended. That's what I expect to be the result of eval. Whoa, hold on. What the hell, man? Okay. Not working. Can I do this? I really don't want to have to do that. Whew. What we got here? Condition case. That's fine. A lot of nested macros. Case says, recommend the macro step package comes in handy for expanding macros in the buffer. Yeah, probably need that. Okay, so a lot of nested condition cases, a lot of code being generated here, which is not necessarily a problem, but you know, if it's not necessary, then why do it? It's sort of the mentality that I'm seeing from what is happening. Am I just cycling undos right now? Okay, let's go back. All right, I'm just gonna write out the config. I'm not gonna try to macro expand it too much because we don't have time to be trying to figure out why it's doing what it's doing. So let's just go on with ensure t init. Go back to the use package config. I want to use these two things here. Copy it. What is happening? Why are my key bindings not working? Wind Up Boy says, have you looked at undo tree? Yeah, I normally use it in my config, but I did not set it up in this config. Scott says, are you moving out of state or same general area? I'm moving out of the country, dude. I'm going to Greece. Let's see here. Evil. We want this. Okay, let me copy. I'm gonna have to use Control-X-B. Let's see, where are you headed, Foskers? I know you're in this general area that I'm in right now, I think. So let's see, setup config. Arg. Back to Asia, wow, okay, cool. Leaf config. I'm losing my train of thought now. Because I started thinking about Yidos. I'm kind of hungry. All right, so that should work. That's good enough for evil. Let's move on to the next ones because we're going to hit 2 hours pretty soon, in about 30 minutes. So let's see if we can get the rest of this gone. It seems like we're going to be doing a lot of copy paste from use package and it's going to look basically the same. So I'm not sure exactly what the we're gonna see if we can figure out what the benefits are. But so far, I think I can basically just do copy paste here. Yes, Brad, I'm definitely moving to Greece. I know it sounds crazy, but my wife and her family are from Greece, so it's not that hard. Kay says, you need to do this an hour earlier, David. I'm doing lunch an hour late for the stream. Hey, I'm sorry about that. I've been trying to move this an hour earlier, but other people who normally come here are like, no, don't move it. So I have to make sure I don't upset my regulars. Vidbina says, short flight away from Prot in Cyprus, collab coming up. I mean, yeah, I would love to meet Prot and maybe have a conversation with him on video at some point in the future, but we'll see if that happens. I mean, the more likely scenario is that he and I talk on a stream at some point over Jitsi or something. Kay says, once you move to Greece, you could change time. I'm going to have to change the time because this stream is like 7 p.m. in Greece. So it's not really ideal for me, especially on Friday. Ashraz gives a good suggestion. Do I want to do a vertical split instead so we can see things side by side? Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you for that. I should have done that long ago. Where were you when I needed you 20, 30 minutes ago, Ashraz? I know you were here, but... Okay. Osloy says, when you move to Greece, will you change the time? I probably would only shift it by 1 hour. I don't want to really, like, disrupt everything. However, it gives me the opportunity to potentially do streams, more streams per week at a different time of day, like earlier in the day in Greece. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure that people would be able to tolerate more streams per week, but if there was a reason to do it, I think that I would do it. So if you would like to see more System Crafter streams per week, let me know, and I'll consider the possibility of that if I can come up with some cool stuff to do. All right, so let's get back into the mental frame for this. So we're going to do leaf here, leaf org, after evil. Is there an after in the leaf config? Of course there is, because it's very evil, use package inspired. So we have after evil demand T. Is there a demand T? Yes. So, I mean, I'm guessing one idea here is that you should be able to easily convert to leaf if you wanted to, just by converting the forms from use package to leaf. I did something wrong. Unrecognized keyword demand. Well, you just told me that it's here. Oh, no. Leaf defer nil. It seems that leaf defer nil is the same. Okay. How about that? I know I just typed lead. RF. Okay. Why is this not scrolling? Alejandro says, I hope you have a good internet connection there. Yeah, me too. I'm going to try to get fiber internet. We'll see if that works. And Kay says, do it between 2 fern style. I would be curious to see if Prot would be very confused about that, because I think Prot is probably not up on the whole weird American video thing. Brad says, we could tolerate many more streams per week. Scott says 5 streams per week, minimum 24/7 stream. Okay, well, I'll consider doing some more streams, but I don't know whether the time of day is going to be ideal. I'm at the stream at like 5 a.m. in Greece, which would be kind of interesting. Not bad, though. Macro step expand. Is it? It's not built in, though, is it? Macro step. No. A little bit the same syntax. It seems some of it is slightly different, so I think that org should load now. All right, so ensure T is here, init. Got some set queues here in the init. Custom. So what do they do for custom? They have custom, etc., etc. Let's see. Unlike use package, you must specify a dot pair. Custom. Okay, that's fine. We can change that. So for each of these, they need to be cons pairs instead of lists as they were before with use package. No big deal. That's enough for that. And what about bind? So any interesting things here? I guess you could call a function. Sure. Okay. No. I guess it's just setting. Yeah. Okay. It's just setting a variable. Bind. Leaf blocks with bind or mode can often delay the loading. Okay, so they have similar behavior to use package where bind and mode delay loading. So you use leaf defer nil to make it like a demand. Fine, that makes sense. This is basically the same syntax for bind. Do they have map binding? Seems it's the... ooh, that's kind of interesting. The local map binding is slightly different, I think, if this is correct. We say org mode map here, and then have the nested list. I think that's the thing to do. And then config, I'm guessing that config is probably just the same. Config, oops. Scott says, will you learn Greek now? Εντάξει. Θα μαθαίνω ελληνικά πολύ σιγά. I'll learn Greek very slowly. Does this let you cursively expand out? Yeah. Makes an overlay of the expanded macro in the... Oh, okay, that's cool. It does an overlay, that's nice. Config expands after require. Okay, so it should work. All right, so what about mode? We have a mode here. And I'm just gonna dump this really quick. Leaf, let's just do this too, leaf. Whoops. So this probably, I'm gonna guess this is gonna work. Bump, that works, I think. Let's see, well, we'll have to check the output of this. Let's see, let's do this. Leaf path scheme mode, leaf protect. So I gotta figure out what this protect is and what path is. Okay, protect is probably just doing general error catching, but the leaf path thing, there must be some reason for that. Alejandro says he uses Lisp. Greek is not a big enough challenge. Yeah. Greek is definitely more challenging than Lisp, I would say. Greek has, you know, some peculiarities to its grammar. I mean, obviously English does too, and many other languages, but Greek, you know, has its own challenges to learn. TS Freestop says I'm the best. Thank you, I appreciate that. Alex says good luck on the move. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Every day it's a new problem and a new adventure. All right, so unless fbound p scheme mode auto loads. Okay, so it makes it an auto load. Okay, that's fine. Declare function scheme mode. Okay, it pre-declares the function. Might be useful. Add to list auto mode a list. So yeah, so I think that Leaf is gonna generally make it more likely that the config loads up properly, but I don't know that an experienced configuration author or someone who knows Emacs Lisp needs all this extra stuff. So I believe that some of that is probably not necessary. I like the fact that setup.el just throws it directly into auto mode ALS without really thinking about it, because you don't need to do anything else. You just put it in there. And if the auto load doesn't work, then okay, you'll figure it out. Brad says, when are you moving? I'm moving at the, let's call it the end of October. It depends on a lot of things lining up at the same time. All right, and then do we have hook inside of Leaf? I'm sure we have something like hook. Hook keyword. CC mode, can you do a list? Okay, so basically it doesn't require a nested, array. Which honestly, sorry, a nested list. I think that having a nested list makes sense to disambiguate things. Otherwise, I mean, you're just sort of like waiting for the next keyword to show up. Hi, Sherry. I'm glad you came back. I'm sorry about last time where we thought that you were a bot. I know now that you're not a bot, so I'm glad that you're here. It's 10:39 a.m. Reno time. Well, it's also 10:40 in Seattle time, too. I'm doing well today. I hope you're doing well. Let's see here. So, I think that should work too. Let me actually just run that really quickly. No. Unrecognized keyword, defer. I did it once again. Let's just go take this leaf. What was it called? Leaf defer. We don't really need leaf in front of it. Why don't we call it leaf defer when it can just be defer? Scott says, didn't we confirm Sherry was a bot last time? No, we did not confirm Sherry was a bot last time. I think that there was heavy speculation, but I do not think that Sherry is a bot. All right, so that seems to evaluate. What about this one? That one seems to evaluate. I believe this one evaluated as well. So what we could try to do is start over this Emacs instance. And then, let's see, use package config. Yeah, save it. I don't know. We're going to try it again. vterm. And then run the Emacs config. And then leaf config, and we're going to eval buffer. Everything seems to have worked fine. And let's check auto mode A list. Scott says, I'm not young, I'm 90. I don't believe that you're 90, Scott. But if you're a 90, that's impressive. Let's see. My YouTube analytics tells me that there are some people that are above the age of 60 watching the channel, so you never know. I'm looking for auto mode A list. Okay, I do see the SLD in there, which is good. SLD, there it is right there. So scheme mode did get added to the auto mode A list. Hello to everybody that can read the initials that are after my name. What, M6S? Okay, I'm not going to read that because I don't know what it says. So, let's see, we got hooks. Let's check the hooks on org mode. Yeah, rainbow mode is there. That's cool. GNU Ninja says 60 in December. Congratulations. That's a milestone. That's awesome. I'm nearing 40, so I know that's not 60, but at the same time, it seems old for me at least. Come on now. This didn't get set? Oh, it did get set. Okay. Evil mode must have got launched already. Evil mode. Okay. Half, not half person. Fosker says you don't look 40. Yeah, you can't see the wrinkles that well. Okay, so here's what I think about Leaf so far. I'm not saying anything to criticize Leaf, but what I think is that I don't see the benefit of Leaf just yet. I know that there's some people who have told me about Leaf on System Crafters Discord. I think maybe it's Matto who was talking about it. I probably should have asked Matto to be here. But let's see, there's one thing I want to look into, path. So far, I'm not exactly sure what the benefit is. I mean, okay, it's just a different implementation of the same things, and it doesn't look simpler to me. Like the setup seems a little bit like more than what I would expect for something like this package. With use package, you just install use package from Melpa or it's not Elpa, so it had to be Melpa, but you install it and then you just use it. So I'm not sure what the benefit is here. It's just, it's mostly the same kind of way that you configure things. Yeah. But if anybody watching later, like watching the recording, you know, has some thoughts on like the benefits of Leaf compared to use package or even to setup.el, please feel free to leave a note in the comments or send me an email. And I'd be very curious to know. Also, you know, come by the IRC or Discord. You can find the links in the chat. I'm sorry. Yeah, in the chat and in the description. I'm just not really convinced at the moment. The school is MIT and the subject is neuroscience, force reinforced machine learning plus a lot more. Yeah. If you only speak Greek, then do you speak mathematically, or do you speak logically, or do you look at pictures and figure out the base bezels curve? Ashra says, okay, Ashra says that the underlying code is easier, and it's also easier to create new keywords for Leaf, but that's only from memory. I haven't checked Matto's messages. Yeah, you're probably right about that. So, there's something about keywords here. There was a link I saw at the beginning of this. Oh, I'm in Qt browser. Let's just use GG. So, keywords. Basic keywords. Configure variables keywords. Configure list keywords. Condition keywords. Okay, sure, yeah. MISC keywords. Adding new keywords. LG. Leaf normalize arguments with Leaf normalize and conversions with Leaf keywords. Okay. In Leaf keywords.el, you can see a practical example. Okay, this is variables. Ben says, I heard that the 30s are the years that you work the most. Well, that depends. Depends on the kind of work that you do, and also depends on your life circumstances too. Like if you have a kid in your 30s or that kind of thing. Like if you have a kid ever in your life, that just, you know, increases the complexity and difficulty of everything by an order of magnitude. Now maybe that reduces back down again as the kid gets older, but yeah, definitely makes things harder. So yeah, I don't think that Sherry is a bot. So I would say let's not harass Sherry or ask Sherry if they are a bot, because I think they are a legitimate person. Let's see. I'm sorry. For some reason, I'm just getting like Unicode blocks here, so I can't see what your name is. In Leaf, hook keywords have not been written explicitly like mode hook, not mode. Okay, interesting. Have to be written explicitly. Okay, so that was one thing that, so there's a few criticisms I've heard about use package over time. One of them being that sometimes you don't have to write out the full name of things like hook names. And it can be nice because it makes the configuration look a little bit more like you're talking about, you know, hooking something into another mode. But maybe if someone is reading a configuration written like that and they don't really know how hooks work, then they're losing information if you don't actually say that you're hooking into a real hook. So I can understand that criticism. There's also some other stuff. What was it? Maybe about the use of custom and some other things of that nature. So I guess that I lost my train of thought. I'm keep looking at the chat while I'm talking, and that's not a good thing to do. The Leaf may be trying to deal with some of these issues. Like, for instance, it sounds like you have to type out the name of the hook and everything like that. So it's good if some of those things are being enforced by the syntax of the package itself, or the macros of the package, just so that when someone reads a configuration, it makes a little bit more sense. However, so you see what just happened. That message that Case sent came up, and the word over was there, and I said, how over? So really nice. You know, my broadcasting skills are just top notch, I have to say. So yeah, don't do it. I just did it, and you see what happens. Anyway, last thing I'll say about that is I still don't really know what the benefit is. I mean, for me, using something like setup.el that's simpler, and I can reason about the output of it a lot more easily, and even looks like the code is pretty easy to hack, I think personally I would go with that. But still, I'm willing to hear anybody's arguments in favor of Leaf, because it's really hard in a context like this to get a good sense for a package whenever you're just kind of playing around with it for 30 minutes. And I can't really like sit here and read the documentation. I don't know if I've said it before, but I've said it in chat in various contexts. Like, when I see a documentation page that's long, it's great, but I can't sit and read it, because if I'm just sitting here reading a package documentation for 10 minutes while you're watching me, that's just boring as hell. So I'm not going to do that. All right. So, the moral of the story here is that setup.el is quite nice, I think. The config is pretty small if you want to look at it in relation to the use. Come on now. Yeah, I'm looking for the same key bindings and they're not here because I'm jumping between Emacs configs. So let's see, how many lines is this? I mean, we can't go based on lines alone, but let's see, that's line 42, that's line 38. It's actually a little bit shorter, this config, and I think it has more power for complexity of the right kind. You know, if you want to make your config a little bit more like tailored to what you're doing, you could certainly do it with setup. And the actual installation of the package, if you want to install it, just package install setup, I believe. Setup is already installed. Let's see. Let's see. Unless installed P, is that the right one? Unless installed, unless package, unless, yeah, okay. Unless package installed. I think that's the right one, right? Package install P setup. Then we just say package install setup. So that won't run otherwise. Okay, cool. And then package install P runs. Yeah, cool. So install setup. And then just start using it. And you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to add Melpa to the package repositories. I think it's kind of nice. And let's see, we got like 9 minutes. I want to quickly just look and see what it would look like to setup.el, xref definitions, go to the file. Can you just go there? No reference at point. There you go. Thank you. I want to look at how you can write another keyword. How about load path, load from, fine. Okay, so setup define. There's a keyword named load from. You give it a lambda. And I think the lambda actually returns a pattern for the macro expansion, if I'm not mistaken. Shorthand, lambda args, intern, file name, non-directory. Wonder what the shorthand does. Yeah, so it looks like you just have a setup define call. When loaded identity. That's interesting. Huh. So identity just takes in the form that goes in the body and pushes it back out, and then setup after loaded. Oh, okay. Okay. That's cool. So setup define, you can make your own macro, and if you use after loaded T, apparently it seems that the macro will be run, or the body of the macro will be run, or yeah, whatever's in there will be run after the package gets loaded. So if you want to make your own macros that get executed after the package gets loaded, you could do it this way, which is pretty cool. Scott Haley says moving to Greece is going to make the commute to Redmond difficult. Yeah, I'll just be working remotely, so no big deal. Edda says, late to the party today. Yeah, well, that's okay. Next time, maybe. Case says, a shorthand form enables the thing you're defining to be used as the first form after setup. Cool, thank you. That's great. The head thing. Awesome. Man, that's, you know, it's a solid package. I'm liking it a lot. I should probably look at this docs a little bit more too. But yeah, I might make a video about this package at some point once I understand it a little bit better. And I might actually convert my config to use it at some point soon, because I'm curious to see how it will go and what the differences would be. Additional keywords can be defined using setup define. All known keywords are documented in the doc string for setup. And it sounds like, from what Kay said earlier, it automatically generates all of the, generates the documentation string for setup define. So if you define your own keywords for setup using setup define, it will show up in the doc string for setup, which is pretty cool. Setup define Define setup local macro name. So let's look at, what was it? Setup, define, package. Package? Yeah, so if you want to install a package with straight, all you got to do, take this. Let's do this. Go to the setup config. Drop this in. Straight. Now, to accept the actual form for, let's see, recipe. We're going to call this recipe. We'll see how fast I can get this done. Do I have a meeting? Yeah, I'm good. All right, so unless package installed P. So let's take a look at straight use package. We're actually going to look for the, where's the keyword? Use package. So straight has its own integration into use package, which I want to try to find. Straight, bootstrap, install. That's probably not it. How do you... let's go here. So use package. There we go. Marcel says, what are you going to be doing in Greece? Living, man. I'm going to be living. Scott says, where's Garjola? That's a great question. Garjola, we miss you. All right, keyword extensions. Let's see. There's a way to define them new. Setup, define, straight. Dancing and singing like Travolta in Greece. Yeah, I don't know about that. Doesn't sound like me. Okay, create an extension. First step, add the keyword. Okay, so we're looking for use package keywords. Def var. Okay. Okay. We're removing it. That's for unloading the package. Bound P, use package keywords. Yeah, where is the actual variable you're putting in there? Set Q. All right, here it is. Position. What in the hell is this thing doing? Just give me the code that gets run. There we go. Normalizer, handler. Okay. Sounds like a bunch of nonsense to me, but don't mean to be critical. Use package process keywords. Handler for recipe. Okay, this goes too far. I think let's not worry about the recipe so far. Let's just worry about installing the package. How about that? So I think there's a straight installed P. Straight installed P. Cool. Is that the way it's supposed to be used? Or no, let's just say straight. No, we need to do straight use packages, period. In fact, yeah. Recipe. So package install package. We need to have the package name. Install package hasn't been installed yet. Macro can be used as head and will replace itself with the first package. Does it need to have... Okay, it probably returns the symbol of the package name. Cool. Systemcrafters.gr is unavailable? No way. I don't believe that. Sherry says, when you're in Greece, there are some beautiful caves that are still there from 2,500 years ago. It's linked in the tunnels. You'll be amazed how many different types of tunnels there are. I'll have to look into that. That sounds awesome. There's a lot of amazing things in that country geographically. Let's see. So straight recipe. Let's say straight use package. I don't even need to do that. Let's just do this whole thing. Just delete all this. Straight use package recipe, I think. Is that enough? Eval. Now let's say straight here. I'll probably have to do this though. I forgot to do this part. Reeval. Shorthand catter. Yeah, that'll need a more complicated function. So I'll do expand on this. Emax macro expand straight use package evil. Boom. Works good. Eval after load, evil. Okay, so that's enough. I mean, if you want to use straight with setup, this is your basic starting point. Install recipes if it hasn't been installed yet. Yeah, okay. Replace itself with the package name from recipe. So if you want to have the full recipe form for straight, you're going to have to do a little bit of extra work here. But I think this will work, though. Like, if I were to actually run this, if I can, you know, get my fingers to cooperate, yeah, it would actually work. So any of these here, that where I was using package before, I think rainbow mode, I need to do that too, because rainbow mode doesn't come with Emacs, I think. Straight. Like that. All right. I will close this instance and reopen it. And then go to setup.config, config, eval buffer. Come on, man. What's going on here? I keep hitting escape because I think I'm in evil mode, but it hasn't been loaded yet. Eval buffer. Thank you. Setup define. Oh, is that because setup define? Okay. Stop it. Oh my god. What is happening? Jesus. My muscle memory is killing me right now. Okay, let's do require setup. Require setup. Sorry if I clipped. Okay, let's start over. Come on, man. Control X, Control C. Let's do it. See ya, Osloy. All right, now one more time. We're gonna go into setup config.el. We're gonna use eval buffer. And yeah, I think everything's cool. I see straight building org roam, which is good. Not sure what the act situation is there. It's kind of interesting that it's showing up like that, but let me go just check this one thing real quick. So if I expand this, Emacs macro expand, yeah, it installs the package first, then sets the variable before it ever tries to load anything. Ah. Interesting. So having this here, I think, is going to force eval after load org, but org is not being loaded on purpose. Okay. There could be a little bit of gotchas here with things loading at times that you're not expecting, but I think it's easy to trace that back, or in theory, easy to trace that back. Okay. All right. So what we do know now is that the straight keyword does work. So I think we can say that's a success. To add a new keyword, that's basically all it took. You're defining a keyword using setup define. The Lambda takes in the parameter that gets passed into it, and then you return the resulting form that gets used in the macro body. So that requires you understand a little bit about macros, but it's not terrible. So if you tried to do a little bit of customization with this, I think you would probably have a good time with it. Okay, I think that accomplished the goal. We actually took a look at, setup.el and leaf.el, and we saw what the differences would be between them, and that compared to a use package config. I mean, we didn't get to do like a full use package config to see all the little nooks and crannies of behavior, but I think we did learn enough to see that setup.el is different but has nice benefits, and leaf is pretty similar to use package, but it's not really clear yet what the benefits of it are. But like I said, if you know what the benefits are and you can tell me, leave a note in the comments, or come to IRC or Discord and let me know. All right, so yeah. So as far as like video stuff coming up, the next thing I'm gonna do is try to get started with the build your own website with org mode series. I don't really know what I'm gonna call it yet, but I will come up with a good name, snappy title, you know, make it hook up to the algorithm a little bit better. But we're going to talk about how you can take your org mode files, whether they're in org mode or org roam, and generate a full website out of them. And I'll even go so far as to tell you how you can do that with GitHub Pages, so you can have free hosting for your website if you have a GitHub account, and to automate the publishing of those pages to your website with GitHub Actions. So basically, whenever you commit a change to your org mode files and push it to your GitHub repository, the website will be automatically regenerated to show the pages that are uploaded, which is basically what I'm doing. If you go look at the repos for the wiki site or the main systemcrackers.net site, if you look at the systemcrackers org on GitHub, you'll see those. Those are both pushing pages to GitHub pages on any commit. So if you want to know what the answer is up front, you can go take a look at that. But if you want to see me explain it to you, then I'm going to be making videos about that real soon. And we'll see if I come up with some other cool things to talk about in the meantime. But that's it's going to be a good series, I think. People will like it. And we'll, obviously check back in on the other series we've been doing over time. I think we're, made our way through Magic pretty well for now, and we've covered a lot in org roam. We'll probably do a little bit more on those, but not so frequently. So we'll see how it goes. I'm always open to suggestions for for content as well. Like I did the Gnusto episode this week because I was asked by Brad if I was ever going to do it again, and I finally got around to it. So thanks, Brad, for reminding me about that. Yeah. And next week, I'm hoping to do the EXWM stream, so long as I don't have any random appointments that show up at that time, because right now there's just too much random stuff happening because of the move and everything else. So hoping to come back and work on EXWM next Wednesday, and then I'll obviously do the stream on Friday as well. So like I said before, remember to submit your proposals to EmacsConf, because next Thursday is the last day, and I won't have another opportunity to remind you. Maybe I will, but I'll leave you alone now. You've heard it enough times. And yeah, check out the System Cracker store if you want to help support the channel. Also, the link in the description for supporting the channel as well. Find me on GitHub sponsors, Patreon, etc. And leave a like on the video and a comment if you liked what you saw today. And I'm going to have all this stuff checked into GitHub and on the website about 30 minutes from now. So if you want to see all these configurations, you can go take a look at those there. And yeah, thanks all for being here today. I really appreciate the feedback. I'm glad that Philip was able to be here totally randomly. He decided to show up, and then we happened to be talking about his package today, so that was really helpful. Yeah, thanks all for being here. Let's see. I saw something I wanted to call out. Someone said, oh, Brad said, you didn't lose your voice today. Yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen. Maybe I was hydrated properly today or slept enough. All right, folks, thanks so much for being here today. Hope you all have a great weekend. Let me know what you think about the video. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Happy hacking. See ya.